Okay. Okay. Thank you. Today we prepared a presentation because we are speaking about public spaces, and I was thinking not to relate it directly to all our projects, but to do a small understanding in how much public space in reality influences the start of a project. So generally, the public space is always present. It's present inside the context of a project because it's the start of the way we need to think the contact in between man and architecture. And not only man and architecture, but even the space outside, that's the city, the environment. So we are looking at public space like architecture itself, because itself it is space, and this is something, a concept that I like to study, because I think that when architecture is let's say disappears in public space and public space is included in architecture, that is the moment that we have a unity in a way. So I wanted to talk about the fact that we are changing the habits. So much more we have to go outside, and much more the identity is of people outside. First of all, like the architect was saying, because of the COVID, the change of uses, but we really need to be in the open air, in nature, much more. So architecture has to relate to that more and more, probably even in the future. This is the idea essentially that I wanted to give this morning, that probably our space outside and inside has to be seen mostly of a link in between the way we use architecture and we feel architecture. This is an image from a project of Erzberger that the architect talked in 3 lesson books, very important, about the importance of public space, but a concept that is, I think, nice to relate to is the inclusion. Public space is made by inclusion between men and the use of it. So sometimes our architect, we have to observe the use of a space to understand better our work. And here are some examples where I see this a lot. We are doing now an experimental project with a client in Lombardia, where we are trying to recreate a small public space in the city of Desenzano, trying to understand the use of child and men together, how they could play in the public spaces. So we selected a little bit of examples where we see that maybe with small things, color, a bench, the position of a tree, everything can change. Sometimes we don't have to do too much, but doing less is a lot already, no? Okay, then we come to our projects. Public space was important for all of these projects we are presenting. The first project that I directed was Vigna Clara station in Roma. That is a very difficult station because it's been closed a couple of times in the 19s, and then it was reopened with this restyling project essentially. What did we do? Our studio worked with the engineerings of the railway stations. We did not touch the existing. We tried to use the same structure, the same unity, but refreshing it with new material. The first thing, this project starts with an open space. This project starts in between what is called the public space. We have to consider that Roma is a very difficult city for space. She does not have a lot of space. So we had to work on the thresholds, on the limit of these architecture fields. So trying to bring public space directly inside the atrio of the station, so directly inside architecture, so that the people could gather in let's say, a diaphragm space, very small, but they can gather then inside the atrium. The public space in itself is where the train uses. They're waiting for the train, so it becomes even part of this partially. Of course, here we are inside the function. The other project I present is another station we did that even here, public space and space is in between the city is very small, and it's the station of Valle Aurelia. This project I wanted to show because it's very interesting, because this project gave birth then to the change of a part of the city. And they did a new public space in front of the railway station, creating a new mall with the center aura, with this connection between the station, the user, the metro, and the new centro commerciale. We wanted, because there was less space, we wanted to include again public space inside the building itself. So trying to have moments where the people could gather and wait for the infrastructure or the function they had to do. Another point we wanted to bring out today is that the facade in itself, we wanted it to dialogue with the public space, to be a contact and a reference for the user. So, for example, the facade, the restyling of the facade is in direct contact with the user, and it should become the reference of high contact, where he sees directly where the station is, where the function is, and he can recognize easier where he has to enter. This is the third project where I like to say that the public space really was wanted inside by the citizens, because they needed an atrio that was open. So they did the request directly to RFE that tried to replicate this need of the city to give a little public space inside the station itself. So this station is completely open. The atrio is like an unfold, open to the city and open to the function. So to show that there is no limit between man architecture and the space in between, but we have to believe always more and more that architecture can really even change the way of living and give a good signal of inclusive spaces, so that every moment of the function is essentially a moment to be together. This is a competition that we had the fortune to participate in for the Roma Termini. So I was thinking, what more than a public space is this competition, where the public space is huge. And it was a very difficult competition because it is a part very important for Roma itself. We participated with West State to this, so we had really the fortune to work with a big company and understand how the procedures of working with these structures are done. And for example, here, the phenomenon of being together and creating a second space in front of the station is even more important, because the dimensions are very large. And then I close with this project that is essentially another competition that we won, where I think that the public space here, for example, is the park in itself, that they asked in the competition to realize, to build and to think. And this competition was talking about a landmark in Salerno, that's in Italy, a place where there's a lot of let's say, important communications by the sea. So the threshold is not only the city, but even the link to the sea. That's an eye contact, very important for people. So this landmark had to generate new new perspective for every point of view. So itself, the landscape is itself considered a public space where people could go and join in the park and become an observatory. And yes, we described it a bit better how we were thinking to bring people on top of Il Colle Bellaria, the site, and create a park where to be, to stay, and to have the chance to go on top of the tower and admire the beautiful landscape and surrounding. And this is the idea we had to do a museum on the base, and we proposed that not only people could stay in the museum on the ground of the park, in the park, but they can admire the city from all points of view. And this is the conclusion. So I prepared a little video. It's very quick, and I don't know if you can do. Okay. Thank you very much. If it goes. No. Okay.
Maybe. Matteo, chiedi tu?
Okay, yes. This shows a little bit what I was talking about. Thank you.